It's 5:32. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Cassidy, will you do a roll call for us?
Mandy Folks. Here. Julie O's.
Here.
Shelby Poole.
Here.
Ryan Cheek. Natalie Schober. Jolene Squirtle.
Here.
George Washington.
Here.
We'll take mission and vision. The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs and strategies grounded in solid research, combined with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as the basis of a rigorous overall educational program that builds strong skills in math, reading, literature, writing, music, science, and technology. The vision of WLA is to be a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take on the activities. And then if I could get a motion for the approval of last month's meeting minutes, the April board meeting.
I will move for approval of April 27th meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the April 27th meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare this evening? Okay. There are no public comments. All right, so we'll move into the board reports. A couple quick things. The survey for families will be sent out tomorrow for feedback on Dr. Mortensen. So please be watching for that if you're watching the meeting. Tomorrow it will come out in your email. And then we did receive a dashboard tool for the board to use as a way of reflecting and making sure that we're fulfilling our duties. So I will send that out to the board and share it with you for next year. It's just kind of a way to keep us on track and make sure that we're checking all of the boxes and doing all of the things that we're supposed to do. So.
I saw two, I just glanced at it real quick. I see two probably quick things we probably need to still do yet this year, or, well, one for sure, is our self-evaluation for the board. I don't think it's been a while since we've done that. So I think that could be a nice thing to try to get done before fiscal year end.
Yep. Excellent.
Yeah. The other one is a board development plan. We had put one together some time ago, but I don't know.
You can print that out and have it at the June
Yeah.
meeting or get it out ahead
I
of
think that'd
time.
be great
This
to
is still
revisit.
look like reasonable planning.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's where we have SPED director come in and do some training. I do some stuff on confidentiality. We kind of have a 15 minutes at each meeting of various trainings.
Yeah.
The training I just completed, I got my third one in, and I shared the website with Cassidy, and I don't remember who else, and you used, I think, maybe that same website,
Yeah, he did.
but it had the required things for us and like 6,000 other board trainings, and it's all just right online, easy, so if there's,
Can you send me the link or information of that?
can you send her the link? Thank you, Cassidy.
Thank you, Cassidy.
Yeah, I said, keep this, we might need it.
Yeah.
I think I got it from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think MD developed it, but it's really helpful. It used to be really hard to find training, so you had to go in person and,
So maybe we want to do it differently this coming year, starting July 1st. Maybe we
Yeah.
want to say, here's the recommended menu for this month. Try to get on there and see a couple, and then just have a share-out time during the meeting instead of presenting these little mini trainings.
Mhm.
But, yeah,
Yeah,
if there's
they look
6,000 of them.
Yeah, well, I'm probably exaggerating, but there were a lot, Rich.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 per, I think there's 3 different requirements, right?
Yeah.
There's like 5 courses per requirement, I believe.
That's great.
Last time I checked, I was planning on finishing them out at the conference,
The conference
actually,
coming
so
up.
I haven't really looked at it again.
All right, awesome.
All right. That's all I have for our board report.
All right. Director report?
That's you.
That's me. All right, it's a little short tonight. I'm going to jump down to human resource management. I just want to point out that we're in the process of renewing employment agreements and filling positions. You know, we have some folks that are leaving WLA for various reasons. One is moving to Iowa, you know, maybe others just prefer a different school to work in. But with that, we're also having some secondary shifting of, oh, well, since this person's moving to Iowa, her position's open, and I'd be interested in that. So we try to do some in-house interviews and get people opportunities within. So we're very busy doing interviews. We've done English language learner, RTI, response to intervention, and then we were just doing 5th grade teaching spot as well now, just right before this meeting. So lots of stuff going on in that area. And you have a list to ratify, we'll get to that in action items. And then our new principal, Nick Rice, will be shadowing all day on June 1st, which I think is next Thursday. So we'll give him some opportunities. I'll have him out on the sidewalk and be able to mix it up with some kids as they arrive, go back and forth, and maybe organize some parent meetings. And Michelle, we would love to have you meet him as well. Okay, curriculum, we're also spending a lot of money right now. We're spending down some budget line items. I talked to Jolene briefly this morning about it. Mandy's been in and kind of helping on this. So the fence outside, we're going to go ahead and get that done this year. Potentially carpeting the front office area with this type of carpet. That's one of the last places on our campus that has the dingy brown carpet. Looking to get the dirt work done for the playground out front. Mr. Broderick's spending quite a bit of money on technology, and then we're also buying some curriculum pieces. So There's a lot going on as far as HR and as far as spending money. And on the next page, there's just a lot of events coming up that are listed there. Like Rich said, we have the VOA conference coming up soon. Our students leave for DC the day after school's out. I think they leave at 4 in the morning. And they get back Sunday night. Those teachers get back Sunday afternoon, I guess, and then they start teaching summer school the next morning. Science night was held on May 11th. If any of you were there, it sounds like we had about 1,000 people there. It was very successful, one of our more successful events. I had PTO that day, and I hemmed and hawed a little bit about whether I'd drive into Woodbury to attend that. And it seems like I made a bad decision because I missed a very big successful event. Battle of the Books. Can you tell us how that went, Mandy?
It was fun. Yeah, we had our first battle last night, so it was the middle school. And we've been meeting every other week for pretty much the whole school year, and we've worked our way through 12 different books. And so this was the kind of the culmination event where they had it was a big Kahoot, like a quiz, where they had their teams and they had to answer their questions as fast as they could from all the books. And you would have thought it was like tennis, like open or whatever. They were, teams were inching ahead of each other and they were screaming and yelling. It was fun. We had a really good time. So we have the younger kids have their battle this coming Tuesday, May 30th.
Tuesday.
So that's
next week. That's good. Our WLA Carnival is tomorrow. I can't believe how fast this school year's gone. Field day, and Ben, you're going to talk a little about Carnival in a minute, but field day, I'm going to pick on you, Jolene, in one quick second. Kindergarten graduation and 8th grade graduation. We have our first 2 graduates in 8th grade that have been here since kindergarten. So that's very cool. The choir and rock band concerts were amazing if you were able to attend that. Can you talk about field day? And then Ben, I'm going to have you talk about Carnival.
Sure. Field day is the last day of school. Grades K through 2 will go in the morning from 10 until 12. And then middle school will have some fun from 12 till 1. And then the grades 3 through 5 will have their field day from 1 until 3. And weather permitting, we will have a wide variety of events outside, covering our whole campus, our fields, in the gym. The whole place was busy. If weather doesn't cooperate as well, we will still have field day. We will just pivot a little bit and use some classrooms and the gym and some other open spaces for field day. Some highlights, we're having a 65-foot obstacle course for students to race through, and we're having a giant bounce house for kids to bounce in, and kids will have snow cones. Yeah, lots of fun, tons of fun. We're in the middle of field day training right now, so students are participating in a wide variety of activities to prepare for it. So thanks to all of the parents who have volunteered so far. We still have a few openings in the afternoon if any parents are still interested.
Can parents run through the obstacle course?
You sure can. Yes.
I'll volunteer in the morning.
Okay.
Just make sure you stretch first.
Yes, stretch first.
You better start getting ready.
Told Andy's on the obstacle course.
So
awesome.
looking forward to that.
Back in my day, field day was everyone went outside for 20 minutes, and whoever could run from here to there fastest got the blue ribbon, everybody else go back to class. That was it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You put a lot of work in this.
Yep. Yep. So a lot of fun. Kids enjoy it. Every
they
year it's
do.
been different. I've never done it twice, the same way twice. So
This sounds a million times bigger.
yeah, this one's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
But wait till next year, which is our 10-year anniversary. It's already being
It's
planned.
gonna be big.
Yep.
It's awesome.
That's it.
Mr. Broderick, can
Yes.
you stand up and tell us about the carnival, as well as do we have it split? So we've asked parents with A through L to come early. I mean, not that parents will stick to that, but that's what we're kind of requesting. I mean, not that they wouldn't stick to it, but I mean, it just won't work for some families.
Yeah, so I believe we've sent out some information about staggered invites for
Yeah.
our carnival. We know typically it's a pretty huge event, so the reason that we do that kind of staggered approach is for parking reasons. We want to make sure that we can get everybody here and get everyone kind of involved in the carnival. We hope to have a lot of different games. Right now I'm leading the charge to try and figure out, we still have a couple of dunk tank volunteers that need to sign up. Dr. Mortensen is still the only member of the administration that is not signed up for dunk tank. So we kind of push for that. I would love to see that as an opportunity. And hopefully she ratifies my contract before that happens. So we're really excited for the event. We will have all of our staff present. Staff will be wearing our orange shirts to kind of stand out. But it should be a great time to get to see our families here kind of at the end of the school year.
And a lot of hard work has gone into planning that as well, so thanks, a lot of thanks to the PTO
Yes.
for doing that.
Definitely.
Can I add one more thing? June 4th, WLA is meeting up at a Twins game.
Oh, yeah.
So we sold 350 tickets. So
Wow.
we will have a nice big section of WLA families and friends and teachers cheering on the Twins.
That's a big turnout.
It's a big turnout.
Cool.
Mhm. That's it.
Hopefully I remember to
Yeah.
watch.
Watch the game. It'll be a big one because Cleveland Guardians beat us last time we played. So at our, no, it was at their stadium, so it's a big one. So thanks again to all the families that purchased tickets and supported WLA.
That'll be fun, fun. That concludes my director's report.
All right. Do we have Bergen with us?
Oh, yes. We may have a new introduction. I wonder if
We do?
it's, oh, it's Brenda.
Brenda, we are ready for you. Brenda?
All right, got it. I'm just pulling out my document. Is there a way, it's hard for me to hear, whoops. It's kind of hard for me to hear, so I don't know if there's a way you can turn up the volume.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want me to, a little closer to my computer. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, well, Dustin was planning to present the financials and the budgets tonight. But because you moved the board meeting from Thursday to Wednesday, he had another meeting at the same time,
Oh,
so.
sure. Yeah.
So I was happy to step in. My last day is tomorrow. So I get to see you guys again. So I will share my screen here. Let's see. All right, so what we have in front of us is the financial statements as of April 30th. And included in these financials, we are presenting to the board a second revised budget. And the reason for that is because we had a few more changes that came up, and we wanted to make sure those were incorporated while we were also presenting the 23-24 budget. So not a whole lot, but I'll go through those changes real quickly. But for the financials, I'll just go through the financial key indicators. So for the current year, our working budget is based on an ADM of 666. So just down a few ADMs from the last revised budget we had in March. And that's not uncommon to lose a few kids at the end of the year here, but since we have other changes to make, we're going to incorporate that. So the school surplus at the end of the year here, we're looking at a 255,630. And we're also spending, this actually was a typo. We're spending, we actually updated the budget for community service fund to 40,000. We're planning to put some of that money towards the fund balance of the community service fund towards the playground. So this number should say 45,000 or 40,000 here. And we would end up the school year with a 29% fund balance of 2,263,747. Oh, I'm sorry. This was the adopted budget up here. This is, sorry. I I was ahead of myself here. The working budget is $225,498 surplus. And I'll get into those details in the next couple pages. But we're at 99 days of cash on hand, and that exceeds our requirements of 45 days, so we're doing well with covenants. At the end of April, we are 83% through the school year complete. Our largest number on the balance sheet is $2,169,000, and it's slightly down from last month. And that's due to that increase in holdback. Each month there's 10% holdback. And so that cash balance will slightly go down as we get through the school year due to payables. Our year-to-date revenues are at 82.5%, and expenditures are at 79%. So right on budget for the revenues, and expenditures are just slightly under. But basically right on track with the working budget. So we did revise that last budget in March. We're coming to the board tonight for another revised budget, just to capture those few last changes. We prepared the school's 990 tax return just a week ago. That was due on May 15th, so that's been done. And the biennial legislative session is almost complete. We know that the state aid's increased to 4% next year. The governor just needs to sign off on that. And then the following year, we're looking at a 2% increase so far. And the biggest changes in other areas are increase, and I didn't have this on here, but there was an increase in EL funding. And there's an increase in there's the free meals that we'll be able to participate in. So this budget that we're presenting tonight doesn't incorporate all of these new changes. Justin will incorporate those as after the governor signs off. We'll go through, and there's a handful of adjustments that we made to the revenues and possibly expenditures, but all positive impact to your budget. The next section of the report is the colorful dashboard. Just reflects those changes that I have just mentioned to the second revised working budget. And you can see that the enrollment's been very level here for the past few months, and we just tweaked it since we were revising the budget here at the end. It's not uncommon to be up by a couple of kids at the end of the year. Now, end of April, we are looking at a net income of $422,326, meaning that revenues are exceeding expenditures by that number, and we are at 104 days of cash on hand. This next section of the income is the income statement. In the income statement, I actually printed an updated version of this for me to present, which includes this right column here, the working budget changes. And when Dustin printed this off, he didn't include this column. It was hidden. But anyway, this working budget here is the second revised budget that we're presenting tonight for revision. And so there are tweaks to this budget, state aid, federal aid, and local revenues. Overall, revenue went down by about $26,000 from our first revised budget in March. But you can see that the biggest impact was special ed funding, but the special ed funding is offset by reduced in costs of special ed. So those two numbers are offset from each other, not to worry too much there. But the local revenues, we've seen an increase in interest revenue, so that helped offset that. And other local revenues for fees to students and so on. And, you know, this year is kind of you'll notice that we've been kind of tweaking these areas as we go, because the last 2 years were not really good indicators of where things were going, because we had COVID and distance learning and so much stuff that wasn't really in full swing. And so we're just trying to get these budgets up to date as we go, and so those are based on actual revenues. So overall, revenues for general fund are going to a working budget of $7,858,380.
Hey Brenda, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. So the one you're presenting is a little different than the one that we incorporated in our packet, which isn't that big of a deal. It's not that much different, but, and actually it's hard for me to read those numbers up there, but, so from what I remember from Finance Committee, our net income was actually going down a fair amount from our revised budget to our working budget, which I think
Yeah.
will become our new amended budget. But I think, did I hear you say it was only going down 26,000? Or on your one that you're presenting us right now? Because I think you made some changes after the committee meeting, right?
yes. The revenue is actually going down a lot more.
Oh, no, not revenue, I'm sorry, net income.
Yeah, but Dustin, when he went back after our finance meeting, see, what happened is, I think he updated it in the wrong update got in the board packet.
Okay. Can I
That
ask a
has to be
question?
sent
Do you
out.
think,
Because this matches the budget.
okay. I'm
Now,
just, I'm
after our
wondering,
finance meeting, since our meeting is so early in the month, we went back and revisited some numbers,
okay,
and the revenues actually, the revenue reduction actually was not as high as we thought, because Dustin had updated the EL eligible funding. And that number is kind of it's not a number that we have a solid number at the beginning of the school year,
sure.
but it's more actual at the end of the school year. So he was able to update that budget by about 50 grand.
Okay,
So that was one revenue swing for the positive.
so
And,
that is great
We
news.
did also update a couple of line items in the budget for
Some challenges.
salaries and benefits. There were a few changes in the salaries and benefits from when we did the reconciliation. And so he was able to capture some savings there.
So
To the
I'm,
bottom line.
Sorry. Okay, Mandy has a question.
Sure.
I am wondering, since we don't seem to have the most up-to-date budget in our board packet, and it sounds like you guys have made some changes that are favorable to us, if we shouldn't wait until next month to approve the amended this school year budget. And
Oh,
part of the reason
As
I'm
long
saying,
as long as you'll have a quorum, yeah, we definitely could present that.
okay, because I know that part of the motion needs to be that we're approving have revenues of the exact amount and expenses of the exact amount, so the auditors can tie them
Yeah.
back. And I don't think we have even the right numbers in here to make that motion.
Right.
In
So-
the packet, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it might be helpful to have the finance committee review this updated one that you're presenting, and then they could bring it to the
Sure.
board, so we could do that next board meeting.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
still
so
think,
Dustin could do that with you in June, and
Perfect.
then your next board meeting, as long as you make sure you have a quorum.
yeah,
That's my concern.
yeah, we'll double check that, because she's right,
Have a
June.
later board meeting, towards the end of June.
Yeah.
Because it has to be approved by June 30th.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that everyone's there to be able to vote.
Good point.
Yep, yeah, sometimes the summer
Okay.
meetings just have to make sure we get.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, perfect. But that shouldn't affect, I know you're gonna work into now the proposed budget for next year. I don't think that, like, this is a separate thing, so I think we're still ready to.
Do you
look at
want
that.
to approve the revised next month, but adopt? Oh, I see you want to look at the adopted, the one that's at this meeting.
Yeah,
Got it, okay,
right,
perfect.
I think. Okay,
All right, so our total expenditures here in the financials, according to this working budget, are at 79.8%. And that drives us to a net income of 422,326.
okay.
And the working budget that I've got that you don't have is showing that we have a savings of 18,000 and that we have a net loss or increase in expenditures of about 10,000. So not too bad.
Cassidy, in this packet
and
is
so
not the new budget. Is
When
it on the
investing comes
table
to
or?
the board next month in the finance committee, this column here will still be the working budget. So he can present all this. All right, so I'm gonna skip over, any questions on the financials?
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna go over to, the original budget highlights. Can you see the screen? It's like a Word doc.
Yep, oh, that's better.
Can you see this?
Yep,
Okay. So when we were building the budget for 23-24, the ADM for the budget we're using is 754,000, or 754 ADM. Now that's a growth of 88 from the school year. If we ended the school year with 66. The state increases 4%. That's the state gen ed aid formula. And the one big change to the school and all of the other schools, well, not all of our other schools, but many of our schools have these CARES and federal funds that we've been spending each year. They are fully spent. And our salaries are at 3%. We're having additional FTE of 2. And we're reallocating any staff that were covered with CARES funds, which was 2 FTEs, are now covered in general fund. So we were able to cover some current staffing with some of those federal funds, and now because those federal funds are gone, now we move them back up to general funds. So that's an expense that, adds to the bottom line. So we're looking at a surplus of 200 and, let me get this out of here. We're looking at a surplus of 233,000, which would give us a fund balance of just shy of 2.5 million. 30% fund balance, 102 days of cash on hand, and our maximum annual debt service of 1.30. Now this budget does have, pretty good fund balance here, but we're also really looking at a pretty good growth. And so we're being conservative here. If we don't hit our enrollment projections, it gives us a little wiggle room to be able to adjust the budget. But our goal to be at 1.25, we have some wiggle room here. So I'm going to pull up the budget. So this is the long-range budget model. And can everybody see the model?
mm-hmm,
Did you all get this model?
yes.
Yes.
You did, okay. So this second column in the green is the proposed 23-24 school year budget. The one that the finance committee wants to look at for the revision, we'll present next month, and that's totally fine. You can revise your budget every month if you wanted to, so that's fine. So the one that we're looking at tonight to be approved is this one with the red arrow. That's a 23-24. So the budget projection is 754 ADMs, and you can see that we're growing quite a bit in kindergarten, so that's in the elementary area, and that's helping quite a bit. That generates 772 pupil units. And here's our 4% in state aid down here. And you'll notice that we're going to 2% next year. The following year, I should say. So going down to the summary of our revenues, there's a lot of formulas here. But what I'm going to do is jump down to the summary here. So our state aids, which is about 85% of our revenue, is going from $7,275,000 to $8,176,000. We're almost going up by $1 million. And that's due to that growth of 88 kids. Now you can see in the federal area where we do not have, in the green area, you can see all these federal funds that we have had from the CARES, from the COVID money. You can see those are all zero. And so we have to be conscious of all the expenditures that we were spending using those funds and making sure that they're being covered by general fund. The other thing, the other area that we have is the other local revenues, and those are going down slightly, and that's because this school year we were receiving a handful of donations and Excel rebates and so on, and those were one-time funds, and so those will not continue next year. So you'll see a big swing in revenues, but we still are increasing our revenue due to that enrollment growth. So we're going from $7,858,000 to $8,507,000 in revenues. Well, this is general fund. Any questions about revenue? Zero. Okay. I'm going to jump into expenditures, and our salary increases are at 3%, as we mentioned in that little summary. And so you can see that our salaries are based on actual salary salary costs for all the planned positions and offered positions. And the one area of our budget that did increase quite a bit was contracted services and student transportation. Otherwise, all of our other areas of our budget are increased based on enrollment growth and by a percent increase, which is we add inflation, which is 2%. And if 2% wasn't enough for that line item, we adjusted those line item budgets individually. So for example, maybe repairs and maintenance was increased more, or possibly utilities. Now, a lot of these base budgets have already been adjusted for inflation this year. So increasing next year only accounts for a small inflation increase from this year. All the other line items in our budget are moving forward, and I will mention the biggest line item that you'll notice, besides like the rent and special ed and federal funding, is building improvements, and we have $205,000 budgeted again out of your budget for the playground and different improvements to the building. And those are budgeted each year, and that's a good way to spend the fund balance of your school, so that your fund balance doesn't keep rising and you're using it on your programs and improving your site. So all the other areas of your budget, special ed, ADSIS programs, and your federal programs are all based on salaries and benefits and entitlements in grants. And we have a grant manager at our office that works with Kathy to update those as needed. So our total revenue, or excuse me, the total expenditures are going up from $7,592,000 to $8,268,000. Now that gives us a general fund net income of $238,000. But if you look down, that's general fund. We do have some money that we're planning to spend out of the community service fund. That is a fund balance that has been sitting in your fund balance. Those are funds sitting in a fund balance that we can spend on different programs that are for your, for your elementary level kids. And that we were budgeting $5,000 out of that budget for next year. So we're trying to spend that fund balance down each year to get that down to $10,000. So that is an expenditure without a revenue. So if you add the total revenues and expenditures, that's how we get the $233,570 net income for next fiscal year. And then we bring the $2,241,000 projected fund balance forward from the current year, this year. We would end the year with a $2,474,685, or a 30% fund balance of expenditures, 102 days of cash on hand, and a MADS at 1.30. And I know these are a lot of numbers, but we're always watching all these numbers as we're making decisions and budgeting all your revenues and expenditures. And the most important part of it is to look out into your projection 5 years out. So we have 5 years of projections out to 27, 28. We're only approving this column here, the proposed 23, 24, but it's a good idea to look at all of these numbers out into the future. So the decisions that you're making today fit with your budget in the future, and they do. Now, we do have some enrollment growth projected, and the minute school starts next fall, this budget will change. But every decision you make, always keep an eye out for the future, in the future numbers, so that you will have great success in the future. Does anybody have any questions about next year's budget?
I guess, not necessarily a question for you, Brenda, but maybe more for Kathy or Cassidy. How, I guess, your confidence in this enrollment growth? It's bigger than we've had the last few years, and I know you've been sending out the health forms and things, like, I'm sure you're using the response rates for that to kind of help make sure that these numbers seem reasonable, but just, I know it's always a little unknown, but what are your thoughts on, like, how confident are you in?
It's interesting because Nancy is super conservative, but I think that she agrees with these numbers. And the place that we're a little different is, I think, in kindergarten enrollment, but I'm going to let you talk to this in a minute, Cassidy, is that, Nancy and I, mainly Nancy, has come up with a different formula of who actually shows up per grade level based on, but we're thinking that we're going to have a higher turnout, especially in kindergarten this year, because instead of just the 1 or 2 forms that they usually get, people are all in because they've done like 30, 40 page packet of everything. So if you want to kind of explain what that means. So we think that group of people is more committed just because all the work they've done to even get this far. But what are your thoughts as you work with Nancy?
Well, when I took over enrollment, to kind of hold their spot, they mainly just did the offer letter and the enrollment form. And then they did the rest of the paperwork, like, kind of later on. So instead, this year, when they got accepted, they got those forms, but they had all their other, like, whole packet. And so in order to have a spot, they had to have all of it filled out. So it kind of takes them a little extra time, so I feel more confident with those numbers.
But we still built in, you and I, Nancy, we still built in formulas
So we
for
take-
each of those.
Yep, we take the intent to return surveys that we do. We reached out to all the no responses to kind of get a more, like what the number is. And then Nancy has a specific formula we use of those certain people taking it and making a number. So I would say fairly confident.
Yeah.
And we continue to get more enrollment each day too. Just got 5 yesterday, so.
So your number of people who are currently on your list is higher than this number?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of, it flows, and as the end of the school year and getting records requests for students that might be leaving that we didn't know about. So I'm kind of working on it
Sure.
almost daily
Yeah.
to get more refined, and I can give Dr. Morrison an update
Yeah.
weekly.
Okay, and then my other question is, am I seeing that right, that we're gonna add 88 students but only 2 full-time employees?
We're adding about 4.
Okay,
So, and remember, some of these classes aren't full, so
sure.
we better look at that closely tomorrow on those numbers, make sure that we're, for instance, we have 3rd grade is going up to 5 sections, and they're right on the border to going to a 6th section, but it's, we don't want to hire yet, in case we have some kids transferring out. We want those classes to be full,
Yeah.
but not too full. We want them to be at 22 or 23 ideally. We don't want them, at 18. So it's tricky, and 2nd grade is similar, kind of on the fence with going from 4 sections to 5. So good questions. I think we better revisit that.
I think we're just adding a 3rd and a 5th grade.
Mhm. Mhm.
If I can double check.
Mhm.
We talked about the 3% increase, and now the governor signed for 4%.
Mhm.
So would this all be amended then?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's what we had decided here. We're talking about, Brenda, we're talking about salaries for teachers, so we talked about approving these employment agreements at 3%, and then, now that the governor has said 4%, I'll be redoing all of these employment agreements. So when all the teacher employment agreements go up to 4%, what's gonna be the toll on the new budget, or do you wanna work that in? And we look at it again in
So you
June.
want to increase salaries from 3 to 4?
Right. Good question, Julie. I think early on when we talked about it, Brenda, you had said one of the downsides is because then the following year, teachers are going to get a 2%. And it's hard to go
Right.
from, it's easier to go 3-3 rather than 4-2. But yeah, what is the impact on the budget if we go to 4% this year for teacher salaries?
Well, what Dustin did was, we'd have to calculate that,
Yeah.
but, you definitely have enough room in your budget. 1%
Yeah.
is only like 30 grand, so you have plenty of room in your budget.
That's what we want to hear.
To allocate that,
Yep.
if you meet your enrollment number.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that, if we meet enrollment numbers, we probably have room, because I can tell from the covenants at the bottom. But if we didn't, that would start to eat into it.
Even if you didn't meet your enrollment number by 4 or 5 kids, you would still be able to make that 4% work.
So would your advice be to redo these contracts now up to 4% for teachers, or to wait until August, or to confirm the registration?
I guess it depends on if you're pretty sure that about the enrollment.
Can I
And
tell you
the
what we're
third-
doing?
The 30,000 wouldn't necessarily have to come from that budget line item, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
It could
yeah.
potentially come from other
Yeah.
budget line item, like
Okay,
your
yeah.
205 that you're putting in
Yep.
capital improvements still that you don't know, Phil, you where.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward then with the
I think
4%.
it's doable, I
This year.
really do.
Yeah.
We did,
This month.
like a bonus, like we factored in that extra 1%. We
You know, it'd be
figured what it would
easier
be
to
per
do the
person, and then,
increases in
like,
salaries
we'll give that
before,
bonus in
You
November,
know,
December,
when you
once we
send
know
them to
what our
payroll
enrollment
instead of
number
having to
is.
do a
So that's
retro
a
pay.
thought, like,
A lot less work to do the 4% right off the
give a little
top.
mid-year, I mean, it's only like $400, $500, but.
Okay, so you say that louder, I just wanna make sure people hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so one thing that we talked about at the school that I'm at is doing like a bonus with that extra 1%. So waiting to see what enrollment actually comes in at, and then figuring out what that 1% would be for each person, and doing like a mid-year bonus for them with that 1%. That way, if we don't meet enrollment, it doesn't completely mess up our budget. But if we do, then it's a nice little mid-year bonus for people.
Yeah.
But what Mandy's saying is that we're
The other
gonna have the
thing too,
money
you know,
any which
Not
way, right?
incorporated in
Well, I
this
hope,
budget
but you came in way under
are
budget.
any of
Maybe not
the,
like last year.
to call them the employee retention credits that we've applied for.
Mhm.
And I don't, what was the amount, Kathy, that they said, that they calculated, was it?
$362,000.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know what, you know, the plans are for that money, because we really don't want to budget it before you get it.
Right.
But those are one-time funds, and they could be used towards, some sort of stipend for the teachers too.
Mhm.
You know, you can maybe combine it or something.
I think what teachers are expecting is if it went to 4%, their
Mhm.
contracts would be changed to 4%,
Mhm.
and it's not that much money, and it's there in the budget. Do we want to mess with people, or just
I would
do
just
what we talked about doing and what they're expecting?
Correct.
Yeah, I would do it. I'd be in favor of doing it. And also, the argument that I heard you guys say a little bit of, well, they're gonna get 4% this year, but they might only get 2% the next year, so are we setting them up for disappointment? I would argue not necessarily, because, like, if you bump yours up 4% this year, the 2% is based on that, right? So you're, like, the 2% is even more than, because you're getting 4%
Mhm.
the first year,
Yeah,
because your
yeah.
base is going up.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even if you only get 2% the next year, as long as it's what the
Mhm.
government's giving us and we're
Right.
passing that on, it's like we're doing what we can.
Mhm.
But, and they get 6% over 2 years, whereas if we give them 3% this year, instead we try to give them 3% next year, if we only get 2% from, you know, the government, it's gonna be really hard to come up on our own with that extra 1%.
Yep.
So I think you're right, Julie, I would be in favor of just
Mhm.
Doing what
modifying
we
their,
said we were gonna do.
mhm,
And I
modifying their
agree.
agreement to the 4%.
I agree, just get it done. Nods.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, the thing is too, though, next year is kind of gonna be a mystery year, right? If enrollment stays, I mean, we have it projecting to go to 870, you know, that enrollment growth next year is to be figured out, and what grade levels and so on. So that 2% doesn't have to stay, it's that, right now it's like a baseline. So it doesn't have to be 2,
Mhm.
as long as your enrollment is higher and you have room for, and you have more room for salaries, then you could budget more than 2%. You definitely have enough budget if you look in the future, but that's also a pretty big enrollment growth. So, you know, there's plenty of room to figure that out. So I don't think the 2% is the end all, you know. The good thing is that you're growing, and anytime you're growing, you can, it doesn't have to match state aid if you don't want to do it that way.
True.
True.
It's best to match your state aid increases and keep it that way when you know, there's a lot of schools that aren't growing like you are. they don't have that growth to back up that additional salary that you want to pay out.
Yep.
But since you're growing higher than 2% next year, the following year is certainly a possibility.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep, good.
How do you want to do this, Jolene? You want to make a motion now for the proposed budget for next year?
So this is just the proposed budget, this is not our final budget we were talking about earlier, okay. I have that in my list of proposals.
Yeah, I know.
in order
Do you want,
to-
I mean, do you
You
want to
it
talk
right
through
now?
each of these
All right.
things, or do you want to like?
I can do it right now.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the 2023-24 proposed school budget.
I'll second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the 23-24 proposed school budget. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion that Brenda not retire.
Well, thanks, you guys. I wish I could keep working with you forever, but I tell you, it's just, my whole family has me scheduled all summer, and I think I'm gonna be busier than I was when I was working. So, but yeah, Dustin will present the revised budget next month. And, we can definitely, with the salary increases, we have plenty of time to figure that out before now in August when the payments go out. But thanks for approving that budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda.
And I'm gonna miss you guys, and I wish you all the best in your future plans. And I really appreciate being able to work with you. And I hope you all have a great summer.
Yeah, Sue.
You too.
You too.
Best wishes.
Did you guys have any more questions for me?
No.
You're all good? Okay. Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.
All right, so our finance committee met on our regularly scheduled day, Wednesday, May 10th. It was a virtual meeting. We had a laundry list of contracts to review and approve, so we did so, and we'll be posting those during the meeting as well. And we wished Brenda well on her retirement. Sad to see her go. We thank her for her hard work. Are there any questions in regards to the finance committee meeting? Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve the April financials and May finance committee meeting minutes.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the April financials and May finance committee minutes. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, then along with our meeting minutes, we have contracts that we have approved, to be approved by the board. The first being the transportation contracts for Monarch. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Monarch transportation contract.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second to approve the Monarch transportation contract. Any further discussion?
I'd like to discuss it a little bit, just because
Yep.
it's such a big contract, and I feel like, so I guess I just want to, Kathy, will you just share a little bit of the, I don't know, history with them, if we looked at other people? I guess maybe your feedback on, again, going up 88 kids, but keeping the same amount of buses, if there's flexibility, I don't know. I
Yep.
feel like this is a contract that we get a lot of questions on, and I just want to hear a little bit about it.
Well, we have been, with Monarch since we moved over here, so that was, I think, 5 full years ago. They're one of the bigger school bus companies in this area. We've looked at other vendors, but what has happened is sometimes a vendor comes into Minnesota and they have a lower rate and they sort of undermine, they get the business and then they up their rates later. They've been around a long time, they're easy to work with, very easy to work with, and they've been good for us. We did have one parent recently who insisted that we change bus companies, and he was irritated about something with his daughter, I think. The deal is there's not that many bus companies out there, as we all know. There's a shortage of drivers. I mean, it's a tough business. It's, it's not like there's 20 bus companies to choose from. Typically, if you are going to start with a new bus company, those negotiations would start back in, let's say, February. It wouldn't be happening in May. Something else that I'd like to let you know about Monarch is Dan Berg is retiring officially for the third time, and this time he bought a house in Arizona somewhere because he's sure that he won't get called to help if he's out of state. That's his new plan for getting out of the business. But they hired a new woman. Her name is Demi, and she's got some great experience already under her belt. But we're looking at changing some things, Mandy, to get more to your point. Dan was very much in disagreement with me, but he's run the company, so I've had to trust him. He knows more about busing than I do. But to have these stops at houses, largely because of kindergarten kiddos that are needing curb to curb pickup. Yeah, I've said, no, we need group pickups. And, if you're the parent of a kindergarten kiddo, you can put your kiddo in the car and you can drive them to that stop and you can sit there and wait for them at that stop. So changing some of the routes is something I hope Demi will do to make it more efficient. I think also, getting a group of parents together early this year to talk about rates of charging families for busing. The other thing that we need to clean up is the we need, if a parent needs busing, we need them to commit to that. So if their kiddos aren't riding the bus every other day, let us know what the plan is. But while I do want a bus, I don't want a bus, I do want a bus, that takes a seat away from somebody that maybe has to be bused every day. So we really need our parents to say, these are my needs, and I'm going to stick to it. And if we go to Florida in March, I'll let you know. We need our parents to help a plan as well. So the other thing is I think he's running 3 routes currently into Oakdale, and I hope that Demi will redo those. We are required to run those routes. It doesn't mean we have to have 30 routes up there, but we need to have group stops to accommodate those families. So in a nutshell, those are some of the kind of things going around. Does that help?
Mhm.
Do I need to motion it again?
Nope. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special education contracts in your packet.
There is a summary page in case you forgot about it or haven't looked at the packet for a while. It's about a page and a half. A lot of the rates are not going up at all. And then that's followed by the very specific contracts that are in your packet. These are vendors that we have worked with again for years. Trying to think of if there's anyone particularly new. And there's not. And I like it when they know our staff. They know our teachers, they know our kiddos year after year. And I think we've been getting good service from all of these vendors.
Yep.
I'll second Jolene's motion.
Julie, did you want to say anything about the vendors? You've been coming to get to know them. Did you reiterate what I said?
Yeah, I would agree. We've developed relationships between the staff and the vendors, and they have with the students
And the parents.
and the parents, right?
Yeah.
All right. There's no further discussion. All those in favor of approving the special education contracts say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I would like to make a motion to approve the food service contract that was included in your packet as well.
second, and I want to hear about it. Kathy?
This is for CKC Foods. We like Nancy. That works for CKC Foods. She's very helpful. She'll be in here. She's one of the vendors that is a middleman for us. So all of the payments from families will go into her organization rather than out of our bank account, which makes life about $600,000 a year easier for us. There's a lot of going back and forth for all of that exchange. She'll provide equipment for us, and that will be on lease as far as some of these other pieces that we need that are sometimes, not always, but sometimes hard to buy, especially with supply chain shortages, which are obviously easing up. We all know that. Do you have any experience with Nancy at CKC?
We do our own research.
She's very hands-on, runs a great company.
We want to know when is our school having hot lunch?
Well, probably not until January, we'll see. We've done everything, we've passed inspections. Cassidy, we had the, was it the Department of Health or was it the City of Woodbury, or both have been in there approving our kitchen and,
City of Woodbury, and then we
Okay.
just got an updated license to provide this as well.
yeah. But now we need something called Clicks. It's a finance program, a database that will go through MDE. It's about a 6-month waiting list, but my hunch is with the governor's proposal that they'll be fast tracking those requests. So as soon as we have Clicks and we've been approved for that, then we'll start that program. But if it is 6 months, that would be January. So we'll see. As soon as MDE approves us for Clicks, we'll be ready to go.
And what do you think it
Hopefully
will?
sooner.
What do you think that will look like? Is it we're at like a heat and serve kitchen, or
Yeah, they cater it in and then we keep it warm. It's all temperature regulated. Then we have already talked about getting different carts that will take it up because we have 3 different lunchrooms. So we'll all come in there. We'll need 1 full-time person. For that, we have a couple of people already on staff that are interested in that. Ordering supplies, it's getting an extra dumpster. We did not get the dishwasher. We're going to have the paper products. There will be a lot of trash every day. Fair amount of food waste every day because even though families will sign up for it, sometimes kids are sick and not in attendance at school, and then those lunches can't be recycled. So we'll probably, our average attendance is about 30 kids absent a day. So there'll be about 30 lunches a day that will go to waste. Nobody's
Is it something
fault,
that
it's
could
just
be
how it
donated
is.
somewhere?
No, they cannot. We'll
Pig
see if
buckets?
Nancy has any creative ideas. But
Pig buckets?
say it again?
Pig buckets?
Pig buckets, right?
Instead of going into the trash?
I think
most of the
Brainerd
things-
Public Schools actually had a
Compost.
program to do
I've
something like
heard
that.
of before, yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, it's exciting. I think all our families will like it. Our families will have to fill out the forms for free and reduced lunch, and that can be a little tricky. Let's say that you're a family that's middle class or higher middle class, and you're still going to have to fill out the form of how many kiddos you have that go here, what is your annual income, the kids' names. I'm not sure if social security numbers are on there or
you
not.
think you will though if all the lunches are free?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
You
Everybody
still have
does,
to.
yeah.
It comes from different buckets of
Mhm.
government.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you still, like, your title funding and stuff is all still based off that, and so, like, part of the title funding still pays for part of the meals, but then the other bill pays for what doesn't get covered, so you still, everyone still has to
Yeah.
fill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the folks that, and maybe 14% or so of our students or our families qualify for free and reduced. So the state will get reimbursed through the feds for those
For those
people.
ones.
And then all the other people still had to fill out the forms, even though they didn't qualify for free and reduced. I just think it's rather sensitive, because
Yeah.
people really, and there are lengthy forms to fill out. People are really like, I don't really want to give you this information, and then the school's in the position of no information, no free lunch. So it's,
There is no free lunch.
well, there is no free lunch, but we'll be sensitive and keep all of that very confidential. We'll come up with a plan.
How does the ordering work? Like, is it at a week at a time? Do families fill out a monthly menu to order? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it has to be ordered 5 days ahead of time, so
Okay.
I don't know that families will have a choice. We'll ask Nancy about that. Nancy from CKC, not Nancy, our
Mhm.
Nancy. I don't know that it's that pick which days you want to eat lunch. I'm not sure.
And the finance committee did consider a couple of other contracts
They
as
did.
well, and this is the one that.
Yeah, we looked at
rose to
Oakdale
the
as
top.
well. And we asked them if but they are just understaffed. Not that they have anything against us, but the public school system there says we just don't have the staffing to run lunches down to you guys. And then we looked at another company, which was just not as professional, I don't think, and they haven't been around as long. They don't have the reputation that this company has.
Is there a plan to absorb that cost then? Like, so if you have 30 kids gone, but those 30 kids ordered lunch, you can't charge them for the lunch because they don't go through the line, then we end up getting charged for those lunches? Like, is there a plan to absorb that? Has that been factored into the budget?
I don't think it's been factored in. I'm guessing between 30 and 70,000 a year loss for the governor's free lunch program.
And the full-time employee.
Mhm. And that will fortunately come out of our money that we haven't budgeted for yet either.
I cut you off, Rich. Did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna ask about like diet restrictions for the lunches.
Yeah.
Did you all talk about that, or like when they come up with the menus?
We have not, but Nancy is very sensitive to that. And the years that I've worked with her at other schools, she's been very good working those options in.
And in the like proposal, it talks about like providing a gluten-free option every day, providing a nut-free option every day, providing almond milk, like all those things are in there, so.
It'll be interesting with our families, I think, at the school, because we have a large East Asian population that, you know, they bring their own lunches, and, well, everybody brings their own lunches, but they have some different dietary. It's really kind of neat to walk through the lunchroom and see the variety of what is packed and how Nancy wants to manage it.
And how we want to adjust that during special holidays when fast. And
That's right.
In
Here
my
we go.
social
Lot of
skills
wheels.
curriculum, there's actually a unit, a lesson on the variety of lunches among the cultures and not teasing the kids and not.
Love that.
Yeah, I think our families will welcome it, but it's going to be, it'll be different. I think, we ordered a second milk cooler. We're getting as prepared as we can. We're looking at the washer and dryer that we'll have to have in that area. We already had it plumbed when we built the extra building. So we've been planning for this. We just want to make sure we have all the bases covered.
lots of things to.
And here we go,
put in
yeah.
place.
But a lot of it is clicks and then Nancy's recommendations for menus, I think. What are you laughing at, Mandy? I know what you're laughing at.
Way back in the day, Kathy might have said to me, the year that we get a food lunch program is the year that I retire. And I think it's really funny
That it's gonna happen
it's
that way.
retirement year, the year that we get the food program.
I just
So-
hate losing money like
I
that.
remember you
It's just-
saying something to me too, we are never getting out.
We're never gonna do this.
So,
Yeah, but you know what, our parents and families want it, I get it.
Never say never.
Never say never, yeah.
Well, everybody will have to dig in to make it work though, because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's not just order it and serve it.
Yeah.
There's more.
I'm
Yeah.
happy not to have hungry kids.
Right.
They come to me and complain they don't like what I have.
But it's hard, I think the hardest part for any of us is throwing away food. That is just, and then you've got staff like, hey, and we're like, no, you can't have it either. It's like, really? No, it's just hard to waste food. All right.
Okay,
Next.
We're ready to vote.
we need to vote.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the food service contract. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the vendor services and contracts that were listed.
Which one is that? Like, is that a lump? What?
Bill, what one
which
is
vendor?
that? Because I think we did, I know we did
That's-
Emerald and the pest control, we already did
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Are there
That
others
was
that I can?
I don't know. that was
Navigation.
just some-
consultant?
Nurse
Yeah.
consultant. Okay,
Okay.
let me get there. Is it the end?
No.
No, it's page
the
9.
first one. I think.
Oh, sorry.
It was just linked together.
Okay.
We had cut, yeah, all those things lumped together.
Yeah, that's why I was
Did
just.
take that one out. So
So is Navigate in there?
Navigate,
Got it.
yeah.
Navigate is our nursing service. When you're a school
Yeah.
under 1,000, you still have to have a nurse come in. We have her come in on a monthly basis. I think she was coming in every 2 weeks during COVID, checking records, making sure that our health services person was recording everything correctly, checking student records for allergies, health safety plans, and so forth. And then when you're a school of 1,000 or more, you do have to have a registered nurse on staff. So that's something that we'll get ready for sure after I retire. Do you want to make a motion on that?
I will, did you already make the motion?
Already did.
Elaine? Okay, I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the vendor services and contracts listed. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, and one more, please. I'm going to make a motion to accept the resignation of Bruna Burns from the Finance Committee. She's moving out of state.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the resignation for Bruna Burns from the Finance Committee. Any further discussion?
I just want to recognize that we were thankful to have her join us
Yeah.
for a while. She's a parent and wanted to get more involved in her kids' school and felt like that's a way she could help. And so it was nice to have her perspective on the committee.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right.
Did it.
Natalie is not here, so I will cover the governance committee report. We met on the Thursday, May 18th, virtually via Zoom at 4:30. We called our meeting to order. It was Kathy and myself, Natalie, Jess Erickson, and Aaron Newman, and Rich Washington joined us with possibly thinking he may join the governance committee. We decided to table until June our committee charge until the election, until we know who's running and that kind of thing, those kinds of things. Policy 538 is ready for a second reading. We suggested that new board members be funneled to the governance committee, and Rich was thinking about joining. I don't know if he's made a full decision. Might want to come to another month and see if he's really ready.
Yeah, I think I'll make a decision next month. I'll be the next month.
Okay. We discussed creating a grading policy, making sure that we add clear expectations for teachers and families into the handbooks. We discussed policy 410, family and medical leave. Was really just making sure that it was just one of those ones that needed to be looked over. Nancy reviewed it to make sure that everything was correct and update, and so that is ready for its second reading. And then we discussed annual policies for review and editing policy 208 for policies versus procedures. So we have the 400s and 500s coming up in June, and then
Handbook's coming up in
the
June.
handbook is coming up in June, so. And then we also discussed the logo discussion for uniforms versus spirit wear. We agreed to keep the uniforms, just the flame, and then the spirit wear can have the owl and all the fancy, cool designs that we came up with. So. Our next meeting will be held June 8th. That is a change. The date that it would normally be was like the last week, and that's chaos. So we're going to meet June 8th at 4:30 p.m. and we adjourned at 5:10. I would like to make a motion to accept the May Governance Committee minutes and enter policies 410, which is the family and medical leave policy, and 538 into second reading.
Second motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Can I just ask one question?
Yep.
On the enrollment and admissions policy, the changes you guys made, is that to be consistent with the MDE recommendation?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, good.
Yes, thank you. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
And I just want to, Sarah's here tonight, she said she might be willing to join the governance committee as well. So I know you guys are looking for some extra help, and she was looking to maybe get plugged in.
Yep, I
Awesome.
reached out to Natalie and she's invited me to join in on the next one and see what I thought and perfect, go from there.
Perfect,
Thank
good.
you.
All right, and did I hear Julie's going to cover our facilities?
I will, and I already see I have a typo on the minutes. It started at 4:30, adjourned at 5:10. We met on 5/4/23 virtually. The main topic was the playground. The PO has gone through, been given to Chris, they're moving forward. Matt is working on setting the foundation and took some soil samples. The grading, we've talked about, has been an issue. Looking at, one route was to slope it the way it drains now and do some added dirt to have the grade on par. Cost would be roughly $2,000. Second option is putting in a storm drain to drain into the pond. Cost probably similar, not sure. Chris seems to be leaning towards option one. We would need city approval. Funds are from the current budget. Ryan and Ben were meeting with the city about the poor field conditions. They don't want to take over maintenance until it's properly graded, I guess would be the word, or groomed, take over grooming, yeah. We talked about a few items that Jolene had mentioned. One of them is that the basketball hoops are leaking oil on the floor, and that's kind of hard to get at those. So in the future, may look at purchasing a scissors lift.
Used.
Used scissors lift. And Ben is going to investigate some extended warranties for the harder to reach items. And we adjourned at 5:10.
Like the new basketball hoops are leaking? That's fun.
That's weird.
It's weird.
All right. Moving on. Mandy, would you give us an update on our election?
Oh, yeah.
Questions, yeah.
Should we accept those minutes real quick? Did we do that?
We haven't done that yet.
Oh, let's
I
accept
don't know
them.
why.
Just make a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the facilities committee meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to accept the facilities committee minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Cool, okay. One thing on committees real quick before we move to elections is that, so starting, I think next time our committees meet, it'll be summer. And I know that often our committee meetings are at 4:30 because teachers are participating in all of our committees, but in the summer, obviously that changes, so there could be some flexibility on when you meet. So I'll just say, committees can meet whenever they want, they just need to make sure they update the website accordingly. So you need to decide a few days in advance and make sure your website is updated. I can update the website for a while. Cassie can update the website. You're employed for summer, right? You're here for summer? Yeah. So Cassie is probably your best bet. Okay, anyway. Okay, elections, update. The flyer went out. We sent several reminders. There was a time when people could put their nominations in. We do have 4 people running across actually all 3 of the different seats, so that's exciting. They will officially get sent out for voting on Tuesday, so we'll have Memorial Weekend, and then the voting will be open Tuesday through Friday, and it'll close on Friday, and then we'll know who the new board members will be. We will tell those people right away, but then we won't announce it publicly until this board meeting next month. There's one question that I wanted to run by you guys. So officially on the flyer and on the website, we had set a time that we were going to accept nominations up to. We had picked 4:30 as the time. We didn't necessarily, like when we would send blasts out via text or reminders, we would usually just use the date. We would say, get your nominations in by May 12th. we did have one of the nominations, and I'm not gonna say the person or what seat they're running for, but we did have one nomination that came in a couple of hours after that. I believe it came in around 7 PM that night. And I just wanted to get the board's thoughts on if we wanted to, like, just what are your thoughts on that? Do we still include that candidate? I did speak with that candidate, and they were under the impression it was kind of day of cutoff.
Was it not listed on anything we sent out when the cutoff time was?
Do what?
Was it listed on anything we sent out, what time it was cut off?
It was listed on the flyer, so if you would have opened the PDF and like
Mhm.
looked through the flyer, it is listed on the website, but it wouldn't have been like in the, kind of the quick text we sent out, or probably the email that followed. I don't know that we would have said the time. And I will say, going back to kind of in our older days, you know, people used to hand deliver their biographies to us, and so the office closed at 4:30, so we would put 4:30 as the time that you had to have your thing in by. You know, nowadays when everybody kind of electronically submits things, I don't know, maybe going forward, we just put the date, and as long as it's in that date, I don't know if the time, I don't know, I just wanted to open it up for discussion and see what your thoughts were.
Mandy, did you say that there was a circumstance like this previously?
Oh,
that-
I was telling Kathy a long, long time ago, I think it literally was before I was on the board, so I think it was 2016, there was a candidate that was the same situation, it was a couple hours late, and the board at that time decided to accept it, I think with the reasoning of, I don't know, you know, sometimes it's hard to turn help away, like people who are wanting to step up and help, you'd hate to
Yep, discourage
turn that
that.
away, discourage that. But, you know, I don't know, we do set, you know, it's, I kind of then think, okay, if we said they're due May 12th and it's midnight, what if somebody, is it, you know, you get it the next morning, or I don't know. I don't know if you'll avoid the situation, but so I just thought I would come to you guys and get your thoughts and.
I'm not prone to turn them away.
Yeah,
I mean,
me either.
Especially since we had conflicting messaging out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn away either.
You wouldn't?
We need the help.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think you're right though, Mandy. I would think that in the future, instead of giving a
Mhm.
time of day, just,
Say the date.
Agreed.
And
I
the
would just
day.
give a date.
Okay.
Noted.
Yeah. we can do that then. Okay.
All right.
Do we get to know who the people are, or do we not know until Tuesday when it goes out, or how?
I don't know.
I don't-
Should I don't.
I don't remember what we've
I'd
done
have
in
to
the
do some
past.
shuffling around to even.
Mhm.
Well, I could.
Did we,
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
did we address the related?
Yes. Let me announce who they are.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, no, no.
Curious of my friend.
Okay.
About whatever.
Well, then, good news.
But we did
Didn't
chapter.
you would?
We did good chapter. We have two parents running for the parent seat. We have Joe Valentine and Mike Balint. We have one teacher running for the teacher seat, Nicole Stevens. And we have one candidate running for the community member seat. His name is Patrick Volmuth. They each have completed their candidate statements, and those candidate statements will be sent out with the ballots. So you can read about them and make an informed decision.
Exciting.
Awesome. We'll be full again.
Yeah, we'll have one more, we would have one more seat, because we would have 3 community member seats.
Right, that's
So we
right.
would officially have one seat that's
Yep.
still empty, but will be closer to full. Yeah,
Closer.
yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Ratified agreement?
Employment agreements in your packet, you have a long list of folks that were offered contracts. I would just add that 4 more have come in, so if it's all right with the board members, I'd like to add Harley Hazel for PE has signed his contract. If you look about halfway down that page in the special education group, Cassandra Christensen has signed her contract for the special education position, which the list's not yet filled. So we're excited to have her on board. Roberto and Norma are fabulous custodians, and they gave a verbal, they would love to continue on. Is that correct, Ben?
Yes.
Okay. So though, with those 4 additions, I don't think we want to name all of those folks, but this is the list that I'm asking for the board to ratify tonight. And then some of these people that have not yet stepped up, you know, they might have some questions, they have applied for a different position even within our school, so there's a bit of a shuffle. Or they may be becoming a parent. We've got that group of people working for us now that seem to be doing that. So there's just some different things, nothing particularly bad.
When it says June, is that in the calendar?
Yeah, it says June, they're like, they were okay not to have met the deadline for the board packet to have the stuff out.
Oh, okay. So they're going to sign the
Mhm.
approved in June. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and then obviously a few of them are not filled yet.
For the ones that you've sent reminders to, is there a cutoff date where you say like we're gonna advertise your position?
No, I let them know, if you can get it in now, it'll get ratified now. Otherwise, it'll get ratified in June. I will let them know before the end of school. If you're on the fence for some other reason that we need to talk about, if we're not ratifying you in June, I'm posting your position July 1st. But I don't really think we have but a couple people in that category where they're just kind of not sure if this is the best place for them or not.
Yep.
Make a motion to ratify the employment agreements presented tonight.
I will second.
Yeah, there's been a motion and a second to ratify the employment agreements. Any further discussion around that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Calendar?
Calendar, Cassidy, you're up.
I guess it was brought to my attention that we need to amend our calendar to reflect the snow days and the flex learning days we had. So then when we look back, our calendar matches what we're reporting to MDE. And so that's why we need to amend it to show the snow days and the flex learning days that are listed. It's the last page on your board packet.
And I thought we already had approved the flex learning days.
We approved the adding of 2 flex days, but we never approved these that were changed like that the day before. So we
Okay.
approved
Okay.
like April 7th and February something, but we never approved those ones.
Because those are snow days that they turned into flex learning days for the older kids.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended calendar to reflect the snow days and additional flex learning days.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to accept the amended school calendar. Is there any further discussion? Alright, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, well, we are excited to have elections and
So at our next meeting, we'll not only announce who they are, but we'll seat them. So we'll have.
Is that when we unseat you guys? Are you still here in June?
Yeah,
You and-
I'm still here in
and
June. Natalie and I
Natalie?
will be here in June, so this
Mhm.
table will look really big, but then at the end of the, we always seat new members at the very end of the meeting, just because you don't want them to feel like they have to vote on some big thing
Yeah.
like their
Okay.
very first meeting. And
Right,
so
right, okay.
they'll essentially come up at the end of the meeting, and then I think Natalie and I will stay in our chairs, and then we won't be here. So,
I still need to figure out if I'm gonna be able to make the June meeting, if I'm gonna be able to, if I'll be somewhere public
Okay.
and posted. as
okay, so
I'm-
you are going?
I am Rotary Canada.
Yeah. We can probably
By
talk,
myself.
we can probably talk leading up to the,
yeah, see
To
who
the
else is
meeting.
gonna be gone.
yeah, and you can maybe see if it's something that you're really, you know,
Mhm.
sometimes you even think about what's on the agenda, and if it's something you really feel strongly about that you wanna make sure you get to weigh in on, then that might be a reason to go through the
I just need to figure
extra.
out when I would need to let somebody know where I will physically be
So
at.
when this agenda goes, when the agenda goes out, it has to state on the agenda where you are.
So
that you're
3
attending
days
virtually
prior to
and
the
where
meeting.
you are. So if the meeting is on Thursday, June, I don't know, 22nd or something, we've been sending it out Monday. So as
I
long as
should be able to
you
figure that out.
would know by
It's not
Monday,
Now you
looks
might-
like June 9th.
Whitewater rafting.
But it also, I mean, just a reminder to you, it's okay to miss, like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's
If you're going somewhere and you need to just enjoy your vacation, I mean, I don't don't know if we'll have something big on the agenda, but I don't
And
think so.
I have with the new people joining, will I need to do their new, like,
Oh,
orientation before the June meeting or before the July meeting when they're required to, like, when they'll
Yeah, you
actually
could do
vote?
either, I
Okay.
think, yeah.
So we're talking about the
Sometimes I think
paperwork.
it might, like.
Like that orientation
for them,
session?
I think it might make more sense to do between the
Okay.
June meeting and the July meeting. Because like I said, really them joining the board in June is kind of a formality. Like they
Yeah.
literally come, join us, and then we'll close.
Yeah.
We'll probably do introductions and then close the meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there'd be a lot of necessity to do
Okay.
orientation.
Okay.
I sort of liked it at the old building where we sort of had people sworn in.
We had an oath. I don't know if I can find it. Maybe somebody could help me find it. We used to have this oath that they
Nancy
would-
must
And
have
then
it. She's got it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, maybe I'll work with Nancy on that.
It just made it so official.
It did,
when they-
it did.
Is that a requirement or is it just?
Oh, I've sworn in so many people.
Yeah. It was kind of a neat,
Yeah.
it felt really formal.
Formal.
Mhm.
And official, yeah.
Felt
So
official.
I'd have to look for it.
Otherwise, we are looking forward to the VOA conference, those of us that signed up.
I've got a bunch of stuff for the
Excited?
agenda next month.
Okay,
You want me to list those now?
sure.
Yeah?
Give us a
'Cause
preview.
It looks like you're gonna
Yeah,
close,
give us a
okay.
preview.
June, we'll need that final amended budget
Mm-hmm.
for 22-23 for this school year, because we had the incorrect budget in our May packet, because I'm sure I'm gonna forget that.
Yeah.
The board training calendar, that's something that can wait till July.
Yeah.
So we'll take that off. Board evaluation, board members really do have to do what Mandy said. There's a component of that you guys have to self-evaluate. Your performance on the board does have to be done annually, so it will have to be done by June. KM's evaluation, that will be a closed session.
Yeah.
I won't be asking that to be open. And that is required also annually, so you guys will have to do that. And then the election results, which we already talked about, so make sure those got on the agenda.
With the closed session, will we go into closed session then before we welcome new people on?
Mhm.
Okay. And we did already do
You know, you
this.
could do either one.
Okay.
I want to say, I think we brought Ryan Sheik into the evaluation last time.
Yeah,
Because
we
it was
did.
kind of
Yeah.
helpful for them to know what the goals and things are for
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah. I think you're right.
So you could do either or.
You could let it wouldn't bother me, I just don't want it to go public record. But if
Right.
you're in there a long time, I'm gonna start worrying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Do you need us to prepare a separate location for closed session?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well-
Any Preferences of that?
I think we can just all leave,
Yeah.
the rest of us, and you turn off the camera.
And leave and we just shut
Okay.
the,
All right.
yeah. The staff survey already went out. You guys did the staff evaluation survey as well. So Mandy will provide, or Kathy will get us those results to take into consideration for her evaluation. And then we'll collect the parent and public stakeholder ones and we'll be ready.
I had one thought, I wanted kind of reflection or a thought. I know merger is like, that whole discussion is over, but I was thinking about those merger committees and thankful that those people stepped up to do those committees. And I know everyone kept saying like, oh, some great ideas are coming up through the merger committee, not even related to the merger, just things that they loved about WLA or their hopes and dreams for WLA. And I just wondered if maybe we could revisit those somehow, like if the merger committee chair people would mind, I don't know, sharing some of that with us somehow, or if that's,
Well, you and I can talk separate, but I have a manila folder of
Okay.
a memo that I already started to
Oh,
thank
okay.
people that served on ICT and merger committees and some of the good things that we already gleaned from that.
okay,
So I've got that about half done.
okay, perfect. I just didn't want
It's
to
big
let
on
that
my
go too
board
far
for-
before, because I would love to.
No, there
Well,
was,
just
plus we
remember some
want
of those
to,
things.
If
I
we
don't
start
feel like
looking
I
at
got
maybe
to
an
hear one of those
expansion,
things.
like if we are gonna talk expansion, like we'll probably wanna have an expansion committee, and so then a lot of those people will hopefully
as
jump
we
on
look at
that.
launching our own high school, we're
Yeah.
gonna need to tap into people again, but kind of a big end of the year thank you to a lot of different folks. So
Mhm.
Okay,
so you can come and take a peek and maybe help me
Okay.
edit some of that.
yeah, I just thought the board it might be helpful for
Yeah.
us to hear some of the ideas that they had.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
agreed.
Our next meeting will be held here on Thursday, June 22nd at 5:30 PM. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All right, there's been a motion.
Second.
And a second to adjourn our meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us
Yeah.
tonight.
And now that